What you got in that bag, you ask? Well, something that I've had for a while actually. Today I will be showing you a really cool custom knife from Custom Knife Factory. Extremely rare. Now, you've seen it before, but not quite like this. Let's check this out. What does this say? Let's see. Customized MORPH number 3. Alright, so you guys have been seeing plenty of morphs, right? Well, this one's cooler than any other one you've seen a video of. That I can guarantee you. At least, I think I can guarantee you. I haven't seen any custom morphs. I've seen all the different versions, and some of them are really cool, but not this level of cool. Oh, what? Yeah, I know. It's kind of hard to take all in at once. All right. So what are we looking at here? So there have been, to my knowledge, 3, maybe 4 different versions of the morph. And the very first one looked like this. Well, almost like this, similar to this. It had the same exact design with a different finish, okay? So you had the same milling on the back titanium side here, the same pocket clip. And then you had black G10 milled to match the same pattern on the other side. And that very cool looking blade was the same. And also an S35VN. But as you can see, this has definitely gotten some amazing finishing touches. It looks really, really good. And I just wanted to go over it with you. I've had this for, oh my gosh, probably, yeah, I'd say a little over a year and a half by now. And I've just been so caught up with other things recently, moving and reviewing other knives, that I honestly just never got around to this. And I started seeing all these other morph videos come out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to show people this knife. It's insane. So this is the first model. Picture this without any heat treated, bronzed hardware, and it didn't have this crazy awesome sort of splatter acid wash effect on the blade, and it most certainly didn't have this crazy anodization done on the back. What you're seeing is the first model of the morph. So I think they were very reasonably priced at the time. Since then, they've really taken off and become one of the more popular knives by Custom Knife Factory, at least in the States. And I see why. And I'll go over all of the details, but I wanted to tell you there have been a few others. You can go around and look at these other models or versions of this knife. And really what they've done is they've kept the blade the same. They've kept the jimping the same. What they've done is they've changed some of the materials they use and some of the patterns that they have. So some of them have maybe G10 on this side, but milled with a different pattern. They'll have titanium always on the lock bar side, of course. They haven't changed that. And they've also had titanium on both sides with different designs. They had kind of like the crater effect where they just drilled in a bunch of craters into it. It looked pretty cool. And then they've also had the most recent one where it's a very sterile look. It's just flat, clean slab of titanium on both sides. And that has been reviewed in a few different places. And it looks really good. But they're all ugly compared to this. I'm kind of kidding. This is just insane. I love it. Really cool. I wonder if they almost used like a sponge or something with like paint. Just like pressed it on the blade just randomly and then let it dry and then did the acid stone wash. It's just crazy. Crazy, crazy. Yes, you're seeing blemishes. I know. Every time I see it, I want to cry. Look at that scuff there and a little scuff right there. on the peak of the pocket clip. The good news is I can most likely fix it, or at least minimize the effect. I can just take a paintbrush and anodize paint right there. But you know what? This knife is just too cool not to carry. And that really just happened from me putting this in my pocket, and there was a rivet in my jeans and it rubbed up against that inside my pocket. So, shit happens, you know. They're too nice not to carry, sorry. They look too cool. I have to carry it around and fondle it and cut with it. Yes, I've cut with this. And show it off, you know. So stuff like that happens. But really what they did, if it's not obvious, is they took this standard knife that they used to make that's been since discontinued, and they anodized it this really cool like indigo purple sort of color. And then they, you know, polished off the peaks of the titanium and then re-anodized it this bronze gold sort of color. And then they heat treated the titanium hardware, or maybe it's steel hardware, I don't know, to match. Pretty sweet. And then of course it looks good against the black, nice contrast there. And again on the back spacers, the standoffs, the pillars, whatever you want to call them. And yes, it is skeletonized on the inside here. A couple channels right there. Nothing on this G10. Now, aside from all the fancy finish work and everything, it's still the same knife, right? And what I love so much about this knife, there's so many things, where do I begin? If you get pretty much any version of this knife, it doesn't have to look quite as crazy awesome as this one. But the cool thing is that they all look good, and you can very easily, if you wanted to start tinkering around, you could customize it yourself. But the great thing about this knife is that it offers so much, and it's going to fit into a lot of different roles, and it's going to be probably something you carry an awful lot unless you get something crazy like this. And every once in a while, Custom Knife Factory does a custom version of their knives. If you go on their website, you'll see these models, you know, the Decepticons, I mean, pretty much anything that they've made, and that they do these high-end custom variations of them. And yes, they're a lot more expensive, but again, you're getting something that's a lot more exclusive and looks a lot cooler, something that nobody else has, so that's nice. But if you even get a standard model of this knife, I highly recommend picking one up. Try to find one that is, you know, maybe an older model in my opinion, because I really like that you have more traction. The most recent model, it's very smooth, you know, you probably aren't going to be hard using this, but I like stuff that generally has just a little bit more texture to it in the hand. You know, it just feels like there's a more secure purchase when you grip this. But whatever one you get, understand that you're going to get the following features that make this a great knife. It's really lightweight. Okay, let me get out my scale here because I've had this for so damn long now. I just honestly don't remember how light it is. Let's see here. Okay, 3.9 ounces. That's pretty light. So, very lightweight. It is very thin as well. So, the actual thickness of the knife, let's see, do I have something to compare it to? Maybe this Endura. It's about the same thickness. So very thin, very comfortable in the pocket. Again, very good for EDC. It's the sort of knife you're going to forget you have in your pocket. And because of that, you're going to want to carry it probably more often than something that's big and bulky and heavy. So very thin, great in the pocket. You have a very, very great slicing and cutting edge. There's a gradual amount of belly here on the blade. It's a full flat grind, so you're going to do pretty much any EDC task very well. Nice, a very sharp, acute angle on this, very, very sharp, pointy tip. but it doesn't seem to be extremely delicate. Seems a little bit more robust than, let's say, a Paramilitary 2, because you still have some pretty good blade stock towards the end here, some thickness, so that's nice. You also have, for the length of the blade, an abnormally large amount of cutting edge. So let's say you measure it from here, right? 3.5 inches for the blade length. This all depends on where you want to measure it from. But if you really measure the cutting edge, and not the scientific way, just from A to B, you have almost 4 inches of cutting edge. That's kind of unheard of. That's pretty awesome. So lots of cutting edge, lots of blade for its size, and fits into a really well-balanced knife with a nice blade to handle ratio. Look at that. That's awesome. That's how all knives should be. I hate knives that have a big long handle and you get an extra like inch and a half of handle compared to the blade. It just I just don't get it. Let's fill that handle up when it's closed, right? Let's get as much blade on this thing as we can. So nice long blade, nice useful blade design. It looks good. The action is very smooth. You have ball bearings in here. Very good detent, very strong. Very cool. It does have jimping, which I like. I think all flippers should have jimping on them. It does give you better purchase. You can light switch this, of course, right? But I find this this end portion right here, when I kind of button press it and just push in, it seems to flip fastest that way. But this all, and however you do it, very smooth, very solid lockup. No blade play in any direction. And you're looking at right about, what's that, 50% lockup with a steel lock bar insert, of course, because they know how to make knives. And the great news is, frame locked squeeze test. Let's see where we're at here. Still 50%. Let me see if I can squeeze this any harder. And maybe 55. It might have just moved over just a little bit, 55%. So that's good design right there. That's how you make a frame lock. That's good design, that's good execution, that's good angles, good geometry on all that. That's how you make a knife. You should be able to, if you decide to cut with this, you should be able to cut really hard, which would involve what? Squeezing really hard on the handle. That's not abusing it. That's not being crazy and trying to use a knife in a way that's not intended. It's just simply a cutting tool, and when you cut something, especially if you're going to cut something just a little bit harder, you're going to squeeze a little bit harder, and you want to make sure that that frame lock is going to hold up to the rigors that you might put it through. So this is consistent with what I always see from Custom Knife Factory. All of their knives have very excellent lockup, so I'm not surprised whatsoever. And I've handled some other morphs and they're the same way. So nice solid lock for, as solid as a frame lock can be. There's much better out there, but you gotta admit it's just fun and convenient, very simple for one-handed use. So I think that's why they've gained so much popularity over the years. But yeah, excellent knife, lightweight, ergonomics. A whole new level of awesome. Normally a knife that's this thin is not going to rank as high on my ergonomics scale. This one, even though the handles aren't contoured per se, the grinds on this, you can kind of see there's this line here and kind of a line here, and in a sense it kind of makes it a little bit contoured, but not really. It's too thin anyway. So the fact that it feels so damn good in my hand is mostly, I think, attributed to the fact of the side profile design. If you look at this, it almost looks like it was as if I grabbed a piece of clay and squeezed it and said, I'm gonna make something that's custom built for the curvature of my hand. You know, I squeezed it and then it came out this way, and they're like, we're gonna make a knife that looks just like that. You know, it's crazy. I mean, the finger choil here, you know, the way my finger fits in, and then the rest of the fingers just kind of fall into place. And then the way that my thumb just falls into this contour right here. And then the fat part of the palm of my hand kind of recesses down, and then even perfect this next angle right here. It's just perfect. This curvature, it just works great. And the jimping isn't paramilitary to jimping. It's not like, you know, super aggressive, which is good. But it's definitely not, you know, like, and this knife's one of my favorite knives I own, so I'm definitely not trying to talk trash on it. But the jimping on this knife is lacking, you know. No knife is perfect, and the jimping on this is kind of rolled, as you can see, kind of like most of the Benchmade jimping. So it's very mild. Yes, technically it might give you some traction, but not really. This gives you traction, no doubt about it. And it's unique looking too. I like this the spacing on everything. You know, it's not the same old thing. And that's really nice. Another, you know, nice summary or way to sum it all up. This knife is not the same old thing. It's gorgeous. It's sleek. It's unique. And I'm not just talking about this particular custom version. I'm talking about the morphs in general. They're a great knife. But if you ever do get a chance to pick one of these up, get one of the Custom Knife Factory custom knives, you might want to consider it, because as you can see, they do some exceptional work. And it's nice to have something that's a little more unique. So that's really it in a nutshell. You know, let me know if you have any questions or some feedback about this knife or the video, or if maybe you have any questions on something I didn't answer. But just the morphs in general, Custom Knife Factory in general, they're really offering some spectacular knives right now. It really doesn't matter what you pick up from them. If you find something that's in your budget, grab it, because let me tell you, they really are one of my favorite knife manufacturers as far as value and design, and, well, you know, pretty much everything I look for in a knife. So again, all of their knives come with I think they usually come with these. Yeah, now that I think about it, every single one has gotten this certificate of authenticity, and they come with these pouches. Back when I first started getting stuff from them, they came in, like, I don't know if it was like suede or like leather, like a pelt, like wrapped around it and tied with twine. It was pretty, you know, basic, pretty primitive, but they've really stepped it up. I really like their pouches, and when you buy any of their knives, you can get extra stuff. I think you can choose between an extra pouch, which is a great option because it's nice to put other knives in that, or maybe sunglasses, I don't know, whatever you want in there. And you can also choose, I think they have like paracord bracelets, maybe bottle openers, or like one of those pocket multi-tool sort of things. So yeah, look it over. They offer a lot of really good stuff, and a lot of the local distributors, you know, GP Knives, Blade HQ, I think I've seen them on Knife Center as well, are offering different versions of the morph, not the custom, but some of the newer models. So if you want something custom, whether it's a morph or something else, go to the Custom Knife Factory website, or from Russia with Knives. Anyway, thanks again for watching. And if you haven't liked, please do. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because I got a lot more really cool stuff coming up this year. And thanks again for watching. Take care.